Testing 1, 2, 3, testing. Hopefully that fixes it. I do see volume levels now. This is the worst. All right, that works. So I tested the stream beforehand. Volume levels were working. Didn't notice it on the stream until Nick. Nick, you're a hero. Thanks for telling me. Uh-oh. All right, let me mute that. So sorry, I had my testing to make sure that it was working here. All right, well, geez, I apologize for all this. Hey, welcome to the Friday afternoon stream. I'll have to trim this out for the people that are noticing there's no audio. We've been taking a look at the Uno platform for writing mobile applications primarily in .NET. This is the .NET lunch stream. Yesterday had some weird problems with it. Uno's got an interesting thing that they're doing here. They've got this platform where they're allowing you to use C# as a language to write mobile apps that's very similar to Swift UI, Jetpack Compose, and our friends over at Flutter Dart. And the syntax looks very similar to this, right? It's out of the box. Most of .NET is used to a platform called WPF or XAML, excuse me. What XAML is this language that's based on XML. So XML application markup language. So very similar to HTML, which is what they use for building websites, right? And as you can kind of take a look here, it looks very React Native-ish, JSX-ish, right? You got all these tags and stuff. It's a very wordy protocol, a very wordy way of writing things, in my opinion. I'm not a huge fan of XAML, to tell you the truth. I've written it for years. I have made a lot of money working at companies that wanted me to write in this. It kind of started out with a framework called WPF, Windows Presentation Framework, that came out like in 2007, right around the Windows Vista time, and .NET 3.0 was, I think, shipped WPF support, if I remember right. And 3.5 was the first they added, then Link and a bunch of other things. But anywho, Silverlight was the second platform, I think. And I can't remember if WPF came first or Silverlight, but either way, they were the first two platforms to use XAML. And then when Xamarin came out, they decided to build something called Xamarin Forms that's also based on this XAML format. Fun fact is that the Microsoft version of XAML originally, this WPF version, and then they came out with something called Universal Windows Presentation, UWP, is not compatible with Xamarin Forms. Even though it's XML, the tags and stuff are different. That's a womp womp womp. They tried to rectify this with Maui, which is their latest framework, and now something called WinUI 3. Uno looks more like WinUI 3. As you can see here, you can tell that they're using Microsoft schema here. So you can, this is Maui. You'll see here, this is Maui. It's defining that it's going to use the Maui schema. You can see that up here, right? But if we were to go look at, I don't have a Uno example of XAML, I guess, here, or do I? This is all C#, but their version of XAML, they also use WinUI 3. But they have a new framework that allows you to write in C# that looks really a lot like Swift UI or Jetpack Compose or Flutter, in the sense that you're using C#. And of course, this is a bracketed semicolon language, right? So we have our brackets here to define functional scope. So this is our function here, main page. It's a part of a class called main page that inherits from a page. And then, so they kind of play off this page concept that, instead of views, they have pages. But if you're in Swift UI, you're used to a view. It's a page and a view is the same thing. It's more of like a web page, right? That's where they're trying to key off this terminology from to make it simpler for web developers. And you can see here that we're doing this variable, which would do very similar to self in Swift. And what this was basically to say, because we're a page, we have the ability to set the background of the page. And then we're setting it to this. We have a content, and we're going to make a new stack panel. Very similar to a stack, like a horizontal or a vertical stack layout instead of our Swift UI. You can see here we're going to set the vertical alignment to vertical alignment center and the horizontal alignment to horizontal alignment center. And that would mean that our text would show up in the middle of the screen, both horizontally and vertically. And then we have a text block, very similar to like a text, not a text field in Swift. But and this would be a text block is read-only text then, right? And then we can see here that they're even using the Microsoft UI XAML controls. So this is actually part of Microsoft's XAML library that they use for WinUI 3. So that means if you know WinUI 3, you're able to jump into this pretty quick. Now, I did UWP years ago for Surface Hub, but honestly, It's been a hot while since I've done some UWP. I did UWP for, like I said, this big whiteboard Microsoft had called the Surface Hub, and we wrote a bunch of native applications when a company I worked for. And then I did a bunch of Xamarin Forms, which is a different version of XAML. So I do know a stack panel is pretty much almost the same thing as a stack in Xamarin Forms. And there's things like grids, and those work. My understanding is very similar to the grids in Xamarin Forms. So all my knowledge that I have is going to be based on not WinUI3, but UWP in Xamarin Forms. And I'm trying to then use that knowledge that I already have to try to figure out how to do this. So I've never done Uno before. This is my first time in. So I learned a couple things about Uno yesterday on the stream, and a lot of people jumped on the stream to help out, and they even reached out to me to talk to me about what's going on, and had a good talk with them, and I understand where some of the issues are now. So one, I'm on a Mac with Rider, and I'm not moving off Mac anytime soon. Visual Studio Code's C# extension has got a lot of problems, and I'm not a huge fan of it, so I don't use it. It's also got some licensing things that make it where it's not productive for me to use at work because we don't have Visual Studio licenses. Visual Studio licenses are very expensive. Rider is ridiculously cheap in the grand scheme of things compared to Visual Studio. And honestly, the company I work for provides us with a JetBrains license for everything. And it's still cheaper for them to buy everything than it is to buy a single Visual Studio license. So from a licensing standpoint, it does not make sense for me. I don't use Visual Studio. I don't use a PC. And they end of life Visual Studio for Mac. So because of that, I'm a Rider person. And the market for .NET is primarily Windows and Visual Studio, right? So it makes sense that they would make that experience super awesome. My understanding is it's pretty great over there. They got some really great docs that explain it. And they even give you this nice little, if you go to the docs for getting started with this, they have like in Windows, it's pretty great. They have this little wizard that comes up and kind of gets you all set up and stuff. I don't have Windows, right? So that's not gonna work for me. But they have some pretty decent documentation to get you started. So they even have like this created app thing. So that's what I was going to talk to you about right now. So a lot of their stuff you can see, these are Windows screenshots. And that's, I'm on a Mac. That ain't going to work, right? So what did I learn? And so that's the first thing I want to talk to you about real quick is what did I learn? The first thing I learned is that if you want to build one of these, you got to have all the .NET crap installed and Rider installed, right? I make the assumption you have all the .NET workloads, Maui, all that kind of stuff installed. You can go to the .NET documentation to figure out how to install the Maui workloads and stuff. I have all the .NET stuff for .NET 8 installed because that ships next week. So you can see I've got my prompt here that's telling me right here, I'm using .NET 8 release candidate 2. That's supported by Microsoft. And I know that Uno doesn't officially support it, but we're going to see how far we can get with it. And the reason for this is because anything I write, I don't want to have to go through an update for .NET 8. .NET 8 is an LTS. LTS stands for long-term support. And so in the .NET world, the last LTS release is .NET 6, and that's super old and janky. It was the first release of Maui. It wasn't a great release. Most people that wrote Maui will tell you .NET 6 was pretty terrible, right? .NET 8 is a lot better. I want to be on .NET 8 because I don't want to have to manually update this later. If I'm going to write a repo and I'm going to put it out, I want something that's got some lifespan to it. So that's why I'm working on .NET 8. I don't have to then do a migration from .NET 7 to 8 when .NET 8 ships next week. And since I'm just starting this project, it makes sense. Microsoft says that RC code is shippable, which means they'll support it if you were to ship this into production. If you're on a Mac specifically and you're using Rider, here's my suggestions for getting a new a new Uno app starting. So start out with, this is the command you're going to use. You can get this from their documentation, but and so it's pretty easy. They're just saying .NET new Uno app, make it a blank app. The .NET Framework version is going to be .NET 8, right? Using markup. That's what I want. I want the C# goodness, right? Markup, and I'm using C#. I guess they support F#. I'm not sure. I'm assuming that's why they have that command for that. Presentation is MVUX. I'll get into that a little bit later. It's a competition to MVVM. It's more, my understanding is like functional level, kind of like some of the other functional frameworks like .NET RX, .NET. But my understanding is a little bit hybrid of that. It's not 100% there. Toolkit's true. I don't know what that means. The theme, I love this. One, they have theme support, and they have, I'm assuming dark and light mode then, and I have to work on that. The O is going to be the project name, the solution name, right? And so this is where, here's the rules. for right now, don't use any special characters in your name. Just use camel case. Don't put a period. Don't use a dash or underscore. You will have tears and pain if you do that. I went through that. I use special characters all the time in my project names, but they have, I think, some issues with the templates right now where the code that they have that builds the template, the solution stuff, has some issues with special characters. That's the first tip right there. Once, if you get that, you're probably gold, right? And that's what I did. I tried this several different times and I had all kinds of problems. So then after talking to some people from Uno, which is super awesome, reached out to me and said, hey, we know we have this, we're working on it next week, but right now these are some situational things. So you see here now I have travel sample Uno, all one word, no special characters, and magic sauce. It actually works really well. I didn't do anything. I just loaded the solution file in. I added my shared code in, right? So I'm using their solution file. So this is something I made a decision on, right? I have another solution file over here, and this is for all the other .NET stuff. So this has got Blazor, Maui, Avalonian in it, right? The problem is that they have some stuff that they're doing in their solution file that they support so many platforms that kind of bust this when I try to merge the two solution files together. It makes Uno work, but it makes everything else break. And so I don't want that. Here's the whole thing about .NET projects. You can have more than one solution file. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like having more than one make file. I mean, it doesn't matter as long as it meets your business requirements. So what I want, though, is I want all the .NET projects to share this DLL right here, this travel sample, okay? This is going to be where all my database and business logic code and my models live, and services and repositories, all that kind of stuff lives in that DLL right there. Well, I can have a separate solution file and just import that same DLL and then make it as a dependency on each one of these projects, and that'll fix this. So for example, now that I just basically went in, made a solution folder, right? You can do that in Maui real quick, or excuse me, in Rider quick. Right click on your main solution, go and say new solution folder. A solution folder, remember, is a group of projects that build at once if you right click on it. That's the easy way to think about this. I made it called shared, and now I can just right click and I can say build selected projects, and it'll just build those for me, right? So that's kind of cool. And that's exactly what I want to use this solution folder for in case I have more shared libraries. But then I just imported using add existing project, and I just went to my CS project file for my shared library. This is going to be my shared framework code that I'm going to have between all my mobile apps, and that's it. And now it's in this solution, and I could use it in my Uno app. So then all I have to do here is, here's my travel sample Uno app. If we look at we really don't care about this platform stuff. My understanding is that's the stuff that the bullet point code they have. Really, you want to pay attention to this one. So if I want, I can just go to references by right clicking on dependencies. And then here, I can just say, I want to use my travel sample DLL right here. This is my shared code that I have, and all I have to do is do that, and now all my shared codes can be available in this UI project, which is kind of cool. And I'm just going to keep two solution files. That seems to be the best thing to do. And now we have basically the ability to write this C# markup. Now, I know. Oh, 1 second here. Somebody may be pinging me on chat. Let's see what's going on here. All right. The chats are good. Let me just double check the YouTubes. By the way, for those of you watching on YouTube, thanks for watching, man. I have way more viewers on YouTube that watch on video on demand than I do people watching live stream. My understanding is probably because they're probably using the 1.5 speed up so they can make the video go faster. I do this all the time when I watch stuff on YouTube. I'm assuming that they're also doing the same thing. So YouTube, if you're watching video on demand, thanks for watching. There's a lot of you out there, and so I don't know who you all are, but I hope you're enjoying yourselves. Use Discord if you have questions, for the future streams. So if you watch one of my video on demands and you want to hear some stuff, I have some Discord links out there on both YouTube and Twitch. Go through, join the Discord community and ask questions there. I'm more than happy. I lurk all over the place. So with that, let's take a look and see what we can't do with this. So children, it's pretty interesting. So a stack panel is basically like a container, right? And so then inside of it, we can put children inside of that. So if we wanted another block of text, we could put it here. We could just say here, we'd have to probably put a comma here, and then we'd say this is our next child, right? And then we could say foobar, right? Let's just do foobar. That seems pretty cool. let's go ahead and just do a debug on this. So I'm going to use, so another thing is here, they have a lot of configuration options, right? So you can see here, I don't have Windows, so I'm not going to use the Windows. And you can see it's Red X because I don't run Windows. GDK would be for Linux. That would be my understanding. They have WASM, which is WebAssembly. I'm not going to use WebAssembly. In fact, I'll probably take it out of this solution. Because the stuff I'm going to be doing doesn't support WebAssembly. WebAssembly is a single-threaded solution in .NET today. And it's a WebAssembly problem, not necessarily a .NET problem. But the library I'm using for my databases and stuff requires threading. And so WebAssembly is out. But I could use Android here. I could do iOS phone here. And then this is Mac Catalyst, which means it'll build a native Mac application. And so we should be able to go through here and just hit the debug button, and it should build a Mac application that I could debug, and it should just show up on my screen as a Mac application. The advantage is faster debugging, right? I don't want to have a simulator or emulator running. That's just taking up resources. And for just playing around with the UI and stuff, the Mac app is pretty great. It is, but the problem is the library I'm using is a C-based threading, and when we tried it in .NET, it does not work. And there's some kind of mapping between how our C library maps to invoke function calls and how the WebAssembly deals with it in .NET. That is a incompatibility problem. So most people don't know I work for Couchbase. We are a database company, and we make a mobile product called Couchbase Lite. And so this example is going to use Couchbase Lite. But I have spent weeks on this, and a very much smarter developer than me, Jim Borden, who is our .NET expert, has tried to get this working. And it's just simply our library. We have C as our core of our Couchbase Lite, and then we invoke through .NET those C functions. And so there's a incompatibility between these two things, which makes WebAssembly, at least for me, for this example, just not going to work. So let's see where my Mac app went, because it's running, but I have like 3 monitors and I don't know where it went. Let's see if it's running somewhere, or it looks like maybe it didn't build. Let's see what's going on here. What's going on? Notification. Build was successful. All right, let's run it and see if it runs. I did run on stream. I could try that. So in chat, someone's asking, if I could try to get it working again. Now that's weird. So it builds, but then it stops right away. Why is it building and stop? Let's just try to run it without debugging and see if it runs. This worked right before the stream, folks, just so you know. I did build and run, and it was working. So I have the green here. That means restart. But where is the app running? So we're not for my. Oh, there it is. Okay. So here we go. We can see Unify platform and foobar. So my text worked, right? That's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and stop. Let's see if the debug option works now. Maybe there's some kind of rider issue where. Well, I remember Xamarin or Visual Studio for Mac has a micro debugger, and it's kind of terrible, and did not always attach to a process. And so, and there was no way to attach to a process after it was running. So somehow the debugger doesn't want to attach because I build, but then it never runs because it's not here and there's no icon. So that tells me that it did not, for some reason, attach to the debugger. But it's building. And I know, like I said, this has happened before. So sometimes, like, what you can do is you can run. I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll see here. Interesting. Jerome's saying that they have a version that works with and without threading. So that's interesting. I'll take a stab at this and see if it works. I'll be able to know pretty quick here. So we can see it's running because we can see that, well, one, it showed up, but two, we see the little green thing. So one thing I'm interested to see then, can I just go to, can I attach to this? 1 second here, attach to process. So what I should be able to do is find my, this program that's running right here and then attach the .NET debugger. And so now what happens is the debugger is actually there and running. So it looks like when I debug without using the attached debugger, it's not working. But then when I do this, it does work. And the debugger seems like it's attached to the process. Now, why would that be important? Well, if you want to put a breakpoint in and you want to test to see what the heck's the memory, having the debugger attached is not necessarily a bad thing. don't know why 2 is there, but okay. This is cool. This is cool. So, oh, that's weird. So it thinks that there's 2 versions of this running now that the debugger's attached. This might be a writer bug. This doesn't seem like this would be a Uno bug. Stop all. Was it basically running before and then writer's just not seeing it running when I hit the debug button here? This could be a writer bug. Let's see if that happens again real quick here. Okay, so I debugged again, and then yeah, so see it stopped running. But now I'm wondering, is it really stopped running or not? Is writer just basically doing something turdish? Let's find out here. Let's go to our utilities and activity monitor and see whether or not we see this thing running. And that would tell us whether or not it's really running, but the writer didn't attach to it for some reason. So we could just look for travel sample. We'll search for travel. So I don't see anything running as travel here. So that's weird. Let me try to run it and I'll attach process again. And this is used to that. Yeah, I think this is probably just a writer bug where it doesn't get the hook back in time. This used to happen all the time in Xamarin. Oh man. And what used to really make me upset about Xamarin is I couldn't do this. I couldn't like take the process and just go to run and attach the process and tell it to attach this process right here. And that made it almost impossible to get any kind of breakpoints to hit and stuff. And that used to just drive me nuts. I'll be honest with y'all. I've wasted a lot of time because I couldn't debug in Xamarin. Wasted hours, and it was not fun. But yeah, it looks like it also thinks that there's 2 processes running because the debugger attaches to it. So that's also an interesting thing. I think it's just a side effect. I don't think it's going to harm the way we do development per se. Now they've got some really cool demos running here. So where was it where do I have it? Right here. Sorry, I've got too many monitors. I got to look around and find stuff. So they have this YouTube example here, right? And this is a really cool example that they use. Now they do some things that, you know, they're like, I think they're generating the UI with Figma. I'm not going to be a UI person, so I'm not going to, or a Figma guy. I'm not going to be building my UI in Figma. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so Jerome said that the Skia also would run on Mac. So the only difference would be whether or not, I'm guessing, native controls versus the GTK Sharp library controls, right? The GNU toolkit. And that's honestly, Visual Studio for Mac was originally written in GTK Sharp, and then before Microsoft ended it, they spent the whole year rewriting it in Cocoa using native objects, and then they end-of-lifed it, that's a big waste of time. I feel bad for those engineers. It was a decent product that if they would have just put more money into it, more engineering power, they probably could have made it something great. But let's try that real quick here. So let's go ahead and stop all, and then see if we go from so this is Catalyst. So I'd be building a native app, and then let's try the, let's see here. Do I have it? Oh, yeah, right here. Let's try this. Let's see. I'll hit the debug button and see if it maybe works differently than the Catalyst. Maybe this is just a Catalyst problem. But I think we should get the same UI, right? It's just going to use different components. Ooh, it's asking for developer access. I'm not sure why, but we can allow this. That's probably a .NET thing. Okay, it says it's it's saying that I have to install GTK first. Okay, that totally makes sense, right? I know I probably don't have that installed. So let's go do that. Let's brew install GTK +3, and the GNOME toolkit is pretty cool. It allows you to use a cross-platform way of building apps for Linux and for .NET. And honestly, you can write it in C if you wanted to, or C++. Skia GTK uses Skia to render everything. So that's interesting. I know that Skia used to be the platform for Flutter, but now they have their new engine that they're working on. Skia was made by our friends at Google. I think, what is it called? Inceptor, I think, something like that. It starts with the I. Don't remember the new Flutter rendering engine, but it's not. I don't use it in your apps. It's not prime time ready. I tried it about a month ago and just had tears in despair. So I do not recommend, if you're a Flutter developer, go in there. Stay on the Skia rendering engine for a while. But there are noticed like hitches in Flutter with Skia. And definitely, you're trying to do complicated things with like image manipulation and stuff. I've heard of people doing it, and I've seen it myself. I find the mapping framework in iOS to be extremely painful in Flutter, among other things. You know, Flutter does cool things. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to diss them. And if you're a Flutter developer, you know, more power to you. Hope you have a lot of fun. I think it's a cool platform, but you know, it does have its own. Everybody's got a set of problems. There's no perfect world to live in, and so, you know. But Skia over in .NET, oh God, what's the guy's name? There's a guy on Twitter the guy that maintenances the library. He's a pretty cool guy. So you see here, here's it running in GTK Sharp Plus. So GTK Sharp is the .NET port of GTK. You'll see here noticeable differences, right? This is using a white theme versus the Catalyst, which knew my desktop, but I'm assuming maybe used the theming system built into macOS because it's a Catalyst app. So it knew about theming in dark versus light mode and automatically switched between that. And this is, I'm assuming this doesn't know about the theming because it's GTK Sharp or GTK Plus. And so because of that, it would not know like the light versus dark color. That's my guess of what's going on here. But we could actually find that out. That's actually relatively simple to do. We can just go into appearance and switch it to light mode, right? And oh, the brightness. Oh, that is. I know colorblind people use light mode and dark mode. I get it, but man, that's too bright for my eyes. But I want to run this real quick with light mode turned on and see if the app switches to light mode or not. Okay, so GTK on the Mac does not have that support. Works in Linux, though. Well, that's good to know for all of our Linux fans. And if you're trying to build an app that also runs in Linux, there are some pretty big advantages, quite honestly. And just remember, like, platforms like the Steam Deck are Linux. Yeah, so it did it. So see, look at that, man. So now it's light mode. And if I switch back to dark mode, let me just switch back to dark mode. And it switched dynamically. So you can see here, I didn't restart the app, nothing. It's got the native support. That's pretty badass awesome, folks. But yeah, so why would you use this platform? I know that a lot of my stream folks are Swift UI people or Jetpack Compose people. And don't get me wrong, I love those platforms. They're cool. But this has given me a single code base for Linux, Mac, Windows, if you want Windows. I mean, you know my feelings on Windows. It's great if you're using it. I have a gaming PC over here. It's a great gaming console. I mean, ridiculously awesome for playing video games. But, you know, I don't do any serious development on Windows and haven't in a very long time. So it runs on Windows, it runs on iOS and Android, and they also support things like WebAssembly. That's pretty badass. So it's all the check boxes that something like Flutter would give you and then some. And it looks like we're getting some pretty cool native support for all the native features that you possibly want to think about. And you can write native code. I want to stress that, you know, if you want to talk to native components and stuff, I know that Xamarin offered this, and I know that they have some platform checks that you could do. You could write native code. So, you know, you could build, technically speaking, some pretty customized solutions if you want to. But let's take a look at this. So I'm a newbie to their platform. So we're going to be newbies together, right? And see what we can't do. What can we break, right? So we'll start out with, I didn't want to do that. I want to get their documentation back open here. So and take a look at, they have a couple things that they recommend and a couple things I need to do in order to get myself to the point where I'm going to work well. So one of the things we need is they have dependency injection and hosting. Okay. So and .NET hosting is just the bootstrapping of your application, and it gives you the ability to do a bunch of injection and stuff like that. I kind of need that. I'm going to need a little bit of this love because I'm going to want to be able to set up things like dependency injection and stuff. So I'm going to know I want this set up in my app, right? And you can see here that here's the beautiful thing. If you're a .NET developer, you know about hosting. One, this hosting pattern is very similar to ASP.NET. if I were to go grab some ASP.NET code, which I just happen to have, you'd see that we do something very similar in ASP.NET. So let's go through here and open another project real quick. And I want to sell you on this. This is pretty cool that they're supporting this. Xamarin did not support this for the longest time. I think in Xamarin Forms 4, I wrote some stuff to make it so you could do this, but I worked at a different company, and let me tell you, it was a pain in the butt to do. I was not very happy. I complained profusely about this to the Xamarin team, who I know several people that work on it. But let me just go to like ASP.NET Quick Start and grab a solution file here. Just look at it real quick. New window, and you'll see here, I'm loading this API ASP.NET project in. So this is how they build APIs in .NET. But the thing to understand is that if you're a .NET program or .NET programmer here, here's our startup, here's our hosting environment. It's called web hosting, right? They're doing hosting, but it's the same concept. You have a startup, but then inside of here, we're going to go through and add our services. We're going to add in all the things that make this app work. And so you can see here, they start with an application builder, and then the builder goes through and builds up all the crap you need to make this thing work, right? So what they're telling me here is that they have that support, which is pretty cool, which means I don't have to learn how to do this. I could just use the same skills I have from .NET and do that. So you can see here, here's our unlaunched. It's inside of our app file, and the docs tell you that, right? The docs are written pretty well. They're saying, hey, you need to go into your app.cs file and add this. So they're recommending making a variable to it, a private, that you can go through and get. Is that etiquette in .NET? I don't know. I guess if I was back at EY, I'd probably take a look at this and say, should this be, I host, and should this be a private read only, right? Something like this is probably, because if I don't want to expose this, then I don't probably want that. Let's add that in. And so then obviously that should, by theory, get us there. Oh, wait, we're inheriting. Is that why they're doing that in the docs? I don't want to break anything. So let's see here. No, because you would inherit from that if that was the case. So let's see here. And then as soon as your application launches, do a builder and then create the host and then add the host from the builder. All right, so we got this here, right? We've got this. Let's do this real quick here. And I think the better syntax for this is going to be, I think I'm going to keep my private read-only host here. That's the current way that I think about .NET. So the only question is, does the window have to be in memory before I do this? Now, their example didn't say, for example, right? But they did say in the docs, you want to do this as soon as possible. I do remember here saying that, let's see here. Okay, let's see here. I thought I read somewhere where they said, do you want to do this as soon as possible in the life cycle of the app? And so if we're going to do that, we should probably do that as soon as possible. Now, I know from Windows that you want to have your window loaded. So I'm going to assume the only other problem would be is whether or not this hangs the window from coming up. So let's see here. That would be my fear, right, of when I do this. So let's just start it here and then see if this is going to work or not. And then we wanted to say this is _host. And that way we have a hook to it now. Let's go here. Why is this mad? No. We are a type application. Their docs say that this is cool. Let me take a look here once again. I'm in that method. It says, we're going to have to instantiate. As soon as your app is launched, use the create builder method extension to create an instance of iApplication Builder from your application object. Well, my application object came from the template, right? So, and we know we're inheriting from application here. But is it that I need something along this lines of this? Do I need to say that I also implement iApplication? Nope. There's not, no bueno. Why is this that create builder not finding this? Well, let's go to there's an app head. Okay. I see what let's see what's going on here. Let's go to this application head. That's over here in base. So this is here's XAML. by the way, folks. So here's what XAML kind of would look like here. So it looks like they're inheriting from this application head. And let's see what this does. So this inherits from the app, or this is a partial class. Okay. So let's see here. Initialize components on launch. Oh, look at here. So this is what we go. This is what we got here. Oh, wait, they're doing some stuff already here for me. Under initialize log. Oh, this is just logging. Okay. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, we're learning here. We're learning a little bit. All right. So this is a partial class to app. And app is down here in our C#, right? So one of the things we want to do is see whether or not this is going to make our life easier. Should we put it over? I'm not sure which file to put in. Let's go to app heads implementation, though, and see if we move our cheese to a different spot, if this is going to make our life a little bit easier. Because this looks like this is where they're doing builders, right? So that's a good thing. Let's go through here. Then we have to make sure that we take our app CS, we take this definition. Let's move it over to the other place and see if that's going to make our life a little bit easier here. Oop. Let's go here. Move this up here. Move here. I host. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, so this is not complaining anymore, right? So it looks like my guess. Here's my guess, folks. Right? New to this is that this probably has a different set of dependencies that it's bringing in. So it's probably importing other packages. So my guess is that this has got packages, and that package for whatever that was is currently in this project, not in the other project. So you just have to know where to put your bits. So we're learning here that I believe that we could do it inside of the app, the Uno base, which has got the XAML file. And it looks like that is working for us. We got squiggly lines here, though. Where we got squiggly lines, Ryder? Where is it saying that's broke? Got it. Move. Why is this issue here? Private, read only. Wait, why is this non-compliant? Private fields which are written but never read are dead store. Oh, it's bad because I haven't used it yet. Oh well, Ryder, you go away. Yeah, we're still working on this. Yeah, chill out. We'll eventually use this host thing. Don't worry about it, man. All right, so I think that's just Ryder. Let's go through and make sure this didn't break though, because we don't want to break our build. So let's make sure that we still have this selected and make sure we can still run. This will confirm that that package was in app head, and we could probably do our things we need to do here. Let's see what happens. I gotta be worried on time here too. It's 12:49, and my lunch stream could only be about an hour and 10 minutes today. I've got some last minute things I have to get done work wise before I could take everybody working for the weekend. But we're building here. Let's see here. Nope. Shoot. So that did not work. And it's still mad about this namespace for this iHost. So iHost worked in one, but not the other. And then the other one we had the issue. Well, wait. Let me go see if what was that an app that we used for iHost? Extension hosting. Let's go over here. Does that fix it? Try building again. I mean, if that's just a reference problem, that's pretty easy to fix. Ooh, boy, that made life way worse. Way worse. App head does not contain a definition for create builder. It's mad. I'm a terrible person. Okay, so that didn't work. So let's Danger Robinson. Let's revert that. So let's take this out. That made things worse. I only had one error. Now I have more. In the world of that, this is wrong. So let's go back. Take this out of app head and go back to app and put this back where we had it here. Feel a little bit more comfortable anyways. This is the C# world, and that I know pretty well here. So let's figure out what's going on here. So see if we can figure out how to get a builder working. We need to make that variable for host. So let's do that again. Get that back. private read only. I host, and we're going to say that this is a host. And what's in here again from our get our namespace from Microsoft Extension Hosting. Hit enter to apply that. And of course, the stupid thing did not do it. No, it did it. All right, Ryder. Not having a great day. But now we have to figure out why we're not getting Crate Builder working. Let's go back to the docs here. You need extension hosting when UI. Oh. Okay. Okay. Let me copy that from chat. Thanks, Jerome. Let's see here. Maybe they said that in the docs. And they did right here. Good Lord, Aaron, learn how to read. First step, install the NuGet package. Boy. All right. That's pretty shameful of me. Let's go through here and manage NuGet packages. Add the NuGet package. Here we go. Yes. Yeah, we're pretty sure that we're cool with that. All right, let's kill out of that. Let that thing sink. It's sinking right now. NuGet. For those of my Swift friends, it is just like Swift Package Manager. Little yellow different, but same concept. And Swift Package Manager, obviously we download the repos code and then build it as part of the build process. And NuGet, they're precompiled. So it's more like a, I guess it'd be more like NPM over in the web world and Android world. You know, more like our Gradle. Let's try to build now and see what happens. We're going to cross our fingers. Oh, boy. It's still really PO'd at me. Man, it's really mad. But I don't want iOS. I wanted Catalyst. To start out with, I don't know why it did that. What's app still does not have a definition for it. What's clean and build? Clean, 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 clean. What? There's no clean option? Where's the build clean? Clean solution. Okay. Now it's build. It's still not happy. How about this? Let's see here. Hey, Kappa Swift. Hey, I know it's been a long time, buddy. It's been a long time. I had a death in the family. I had to take care of some family stuff, so I have not been streaming for a while, but I'm back. Doing all the normal streams that I used to do. So I'm back into the groove here. Today I'm working on Uno. It's you need to still need a space removed from the top. What did I remove from the top? Hosting. Oh, what was that? What did I just grab that package? It was. I got so happy to see Compile Swift that I forgot. So install Uno extensions hosting when UI. So let's go through and add that in and see if we can get our build working. Using Uno extensions hosting. Okay. Let's see if that fixes it. Let's right click on this. Is there context actions? No, I don't want to create something. It's in this NuGet package, dude. Ryder. It's in this NuGet package according to the docs. It says here, install the WinUI hosting package. You need to expose host. Ooh, is iHost coming from the wrong place though? So now it may be coming from Microsoft's instead of theirs. I made some mistakes here. Nope, that is not it either. And they don't have anything outside of that. Let me right click now and see if the ID is going to help me here. So it's still saying that it's a Microsoft hosting file, but I still have this Crate Builders not working. Let me ReSharper likely help you resolve the method. Yeah, I mean, I've got Ryder. It should have this. Is this a Ryder bug? Let's do this real quick here. We don't need that anymore. Let's just close and reload the solution and see if that fixes it. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. Let's see if this is still complaining after we reload. Because we put the NuGet package in. Let's see if it... Nope. Still can't resolve it. can it? Still says create. Let's go through and take a look here. How would I solve this if I was .NET developer? It's pretty easy, right? I would do this. Where did I go to the docs here? Go find the source code. Where is it here? So here's NuGet's definition for it, and then let's see if we can find the repo, and then let's just go see what the heck it is. So let's go to source, and we're gonna guess it's in hosting UI. Here we go. And so this was the application builder, and so it just says user. So it turns like this is all an extension hosting. Let's go back and see what I did inside of Rider. Is that right? No, I got user extension hosting here. Make sure to add Uno extension hosting when UI. Let's see what our packages are here. Dependencies, and .NET 8, and let's see packages. And we are using right now the hosting extensions. Oh, I didn't grab WinUI. I just grabbed the hosting. That's what's going on here. Here it is. No, it says I have it. Because this minus means that I don't have it. Oh, terminal, where are you? Where am I right now? I'm in here. I want to go into travel sample uno .NET. Oops. Let me go get that link. See whether or not it's just according to this, I already have it. I guess I could go look at the what was it, package? Let me go look at the freaking CS proj file. See if that's what's going on here. It's so sad. The UI, and I talked about this in previous streams. The UI for managing NuGet packages in Visual Studio for Mac was 1,000 times better than the one in Rider. The one in Rider is based on the freaking Java crap, and it is turd at best. So let's go here and see package references, see if we have it in here. So let's see here. It would have been added at towards the bottom here. So let's see here, Reactive, Extension Core. I'm just going to do it the old school way. Update the CS proj file. Do it via code. Hey, Francis. Yeah, I do have it over here. Where is it? It's in one of my tabs over here, and the YouTube app. Let's see here. We have it over here and right here. So definitely, that's what we're kind of. Our goal is to hopefully use this as our kind of baseline here, and let's see here. It's So, yeah. So here, it's a little bit different than the docs. They're doing exactly what I would do. Okay, cool. Well, this is a little bit different than the docs here. So the docs just have it as a private here, but this is a better already way that I would write it. So let's go here. Let's grab this real quick. Private set, and let's bring that into our. This is already. I like it more here. Oh no, I still think it should be underscore. So let's see here what he's doing different, or they are doing different in the here. Create builder. They don't even have a reference to anything outside of this. So this must be in a package thing. So let's go back out one to YouTube Player, take a look at the CS Proj and see what packages they're bringing in. Include, ooh, there's a lot of these. Let's see, One UI markup, material. Where's this one that it says hosting right here? So that's the one. Okay, let's see here if that's in our writer. See if we can get hosting working. Let's actually just try to rebuild because I thought I added that in CS Proj. Let's go ahead and build and see if it builds. It's still mad. Well, that's totally different error now. That's not the same error anymore. The app does not contain a definition for... Nope, it's still the same error. All right, let's see here. But we know we have it. Let's go back to CS Proj, edit, in the CS Proj. It's the same thing. So let me see what else is missing here. Maybe I'm missing another package. Oh no. It's this thing that they use for like Visual Studio. This whole thing where they have this packages outside of the CS Proj. Oh, turd. That's right. This was explained to me. I apologize. So, and then we'll need a version because so they do things different than Maui because they have a lot more targets that they do than Maui, right? So in the world of Maui, obviously, right, you know, they're really only targeting a couple of different platforms. My understanding is those files are used because they target a couple other platforms that necessarily is supported. So the answer is NuGet.org, and then let's go look for this package to get a version. Now let's see what the latest version is. It's 3.1. So let's grab this because we'll need the version tag, otherwise this won't work. I keep forgetting that if it's you kind of have to modify it here because this will give what version to download, and then you can reference it in the project itself. This is Visual Studio stuff, folks, not necessarily Rider's stuff, but Rider doesn't support it yet, is my understanding. Let's see. Hey, Red Squiggly line went away, so that's it. Good Lord. So let's see here. Oop. Uh-oh. What do we have here now? Error warning. Uno extension for 3.5 references package. Oh, because I referenced it manually here. So now I probably broke things because I have it I have it in here. Let's see here. Let's go through and remove it from here and just reference it then. Let's see, where was that was called hosting right here. It is. Yeah. No. And then let's see here. No. And then what I want to do is just make sure that edit the CS Proj file now. And make sure that it's still in the CS Proj file though. So I still see it right here. Nope. Let's remove it from there. And that should hopefully fix this. Let's see if we can get this now to build. So this is all just NuGet turd stuff with NuGet. So let's see what it's complaining about now. The package download downgrade. So it's saying, oh, because this version isn't compatible. It's saying that the core WinUI is at 3.11 and it's saying this is at 3.10. Yeah, that's it. It was the latest version on NuGet.org. Let's do this. Let's go cheat. Let's go back and look at this YouTube application real quick here and see what he has in or whoever wrote this has in their definition. So let's go back up one level to the YouTube player. This should be where they have the build packages here. Let's see what they're doing here. So what do they have for their versions? So there you have toolkit, but that's not what I'm looking for. When UI. So let's look at what my error is and see if we can find out what they're using there. Because this is some kind of weird thing with that. So they're saying extensions core when UI is incompatible with this version. So let's look for that and see what they have in there and try to compare and contrast. I don't even see it in here. Okay. Let's see here. I did make it, but I used blank. That was the recommendation for the in the docs. I used blank. It was I can throw it in chat what I did. A sec. I did this basically. That's how I built the project. So, but I'm just trying to figure out now why. So it's saying that when UI is not compatible. Oops. That's the wrong thing. Where's my error in where's my error here? So when UI core. Okay. Let's go back here to NuGets and see what this is at. So this also has a when. Well, that's interesting. It's also saying, let's go to versions. I think there's something going on here where I'm not seeing the right versions. So here's 310 dev 65. And that's the same version I'm doing of hosting. So I think I just have to get this. Or oh wait, what am I thinking here? I just gotta get the other one at the same version. I'm an idiot. Let's see here. So let's go back to, where's our package reference here? Packages props. This is what I have going wrong here. I bet you they have the same version that I'm using here, which is 3.0.11. That's what I have got wrong here. There we go. Aha. I grabbed the latest version, but it's not compatible because it's a dev version. So that would make more sense here. Now let's try building and see if that, and this would totally make sense. I grabbed the wrong version and it looked to see. Hey, we build. Yay, we build. Look at that. Solving problems. So this is all idiot things for me. Of not looking at the NuGet version to make sure that the library dependencies work, right? So let's talk about that. If you're new to .NET, what are we talking about here? Well, dependencies. If you take a look here, this extension core UI has all these dependencies inside of it, right? And if you have this version, you have to worry about that also. Well, we wanted to add that package, right? So if we go back and take a look at this, let's make sure we understand what we're doing here. Because I always say there's no such thing as magic, right? And development. So if we go take a look at this, if we're to take this package in, we got to take a look at NuGet, what the dependencies are on it. So if we go here and say that we want it, here's our WinUI here. Come on, NuGet, let's be faster. Here's all the dependencies. Well, you can see here, it's already telling us that we need to make sure WinCore is on the same version. Hosting needs to be on the same version. Storage, all these things. So if you grab the latest release, which is a dev release, it's not going to be compatible with all the other things, all these other things you already have in your project. So that's where you have to go to versions and then go, oh, okay, what's the most stable version? That's probably what they're running on. You can see this is 3 days ago. So this is the one I want to be on. Blank is better when you won't want anything, and then you can add all the markup, but it's recommended that it has all the bells and whistles, so you can help recommend what you're missing. I think the YouTube project's been really helpful for that, to tell you the truth, because here's all the source code, right? I can go through and see exactly what version they're using. I think this is one of the greatest things that they really did, because I've tried Uno before, and the samples were also kind of tricky, just like they are right now, but I didn't have a great example that did exactly what I want. This thing is pretty awesome. I mean, you know, if I comb through this, I'm going to see exactly what I'm doing wrong. And once again, I've chalked half this up to like, I don't know Uno. I'm not an expert on Uno. I'm a .NET developer. You know, I've done Maui and other platforms, but I've never done this before. So some of this is just me being a newbie. But here we are. So now we have that working. So this is good. So we got our packages figured out. So now we know we really want to go through and add packages to this file here, okay? And then we could reference them inside of our CS proj file to say, I want to bring that package in. It's going to know what version to grab from over here to bring into our project. Cool. I mean, that works. It's it's a little bit different. We're not going to use the package manager instead of Rider per se, right? Because this we're going to just edit by hand. And that way we don't have to worry about this. So that's something that I just learned today. So, what did we learn today? Edit packages from the packages props file, not using the Rider package manager, and then reference them in your CS proj files for any projects you want to use them. Once you reference them here, make sure they're on the same damn version that you're running everything else on. And now the host builder now works. So that's pretty cool. Now we can go through and start adding what we originally tried to do like an hour ago, well, not an hour ago, but 10, 15 minutes ago, which was to start taking a look at which I want to do next, which is dependency ejection, right? And so dependency ejection is pretty awesome. In Swift, to our Swift friends out there, we have protocols. In .NET, they're called interfaces. They mean the same thing. We may have an interface or a protocol, right, that has a definition of a contract. And we want to have two versions of that. We may want to have a mock version of that. So let's say, for example, we're getting data from the database, and we want to mock up, making sure that our service, or we'll say repository for the sake of .NET, brings back that data properly. So we're going to make a mock version of that repository that just has some hard-coded data. It brings it back. It validates our models work. It validates that the UI, if you want to do functional testing against mocks, you could do that. You could do, various testing that you want to do. Guarantee your tests pass without having to have a hard dependency on where the heck is the database? Where is it on a server? Is it on the file system, right? Now, if you want to do integration tests, then you can kind of skip that, because integration tests, you'd want to talk directly to the database, right? So just what kind of testing you want to do. But dependency injection is pretty badass, awesome for that standpoint. More important, when you're doing multi-platform applications, and let's say, for example, you want to save a file somewhere on the file system. The problem is that each platform is going to have a different way to get the location of where to save the file. And I'm talking to you, Android. For example, Android would have a different code to get the file system path versus iOS versus Mac. And that's going to be our problem. We're going to use an embedded database, and we're going to need to know for per operating system where to get the location that we want to get our database and save our database to. Right? And so because of that, we're going to need to have an interface that says, hey, here's a service that just has a contract that says, give me the file path, and then we'll implement it differently in each one of the platforms. We'll have a separate implementation of that service in Android that uses the Android SDK to go find the file path. We'll implement that in iOS using the iOS SDK to get the path for iOS, and the same thing for Mac Catalyst. And of course, if you're on Windows, you do the same thing there. And so that's why we need to be able to register services, but also we need to have an interface, because we're multi-platform. There's certain things that we're gonna have to go to that platform and get implementations for, and then inject the implementation over here. Another great example would be like Bluetooth. If you want to do Bluetooth, well, that's different on iOS versus Android versus Windows versus Mac. And it's a platforms, it may be much more difficult. Now, usually people are going to raise their hand and say, yeah, but there's open source solutions out there that you don't have to necessarily implement all this stuff. You can just go find a package to do that. You can, if you want, that's fine. For the file system thing, I know how to do that already, so I'll just do it myself. It's not worth bringing another dependency in that I have to start depending on, and I don't know what that dependency is going to have depending on it, right? Maybe it's coded for a certain version of .NET or something like that. I don't really need to bring in the hassle of that if I know how to do it myself, and it's relatively simple, to tell you the truth, right? So I'm not going to bring in a package to do that. I'll just do the homework myself, and it's not a huge deal. Really, it's not. I promise you. So I think that's what we're going to try to do next, right? Let's see here. And so, yeah. So let's stream. Unfortunately, I will really want to stream this a lot more today, but I'm not going to be able to because I got some other stuff I have to get to. But we've made big progress here today because now, one, I've learned a lot about how we do this, right? I learned how to get packages, and that's really important. I learned how to get my host set up. My host setup means I can get my implementations of getting the file system set up. I need to do that because I can't get my database without knowing where to put it per platform. And so I'm going to need to, now that I have that, those of you who watch previous streams, you know I have the .NET code laying around to do this, right? So I'm just going to borrow that code, bring it in here, put that in my the interface will be in the shared project, and then the implementations will be in each individual project, right? But I can share that code, technically speaking, between Maui, between Avalonian, and Uno, because it's platform-specific code, .NET code. Uno is just .NET when it comes down to it. This is the advantage to running on .NET, right? Is that you have, technically speaking, those libraries, Uno's adding on top of them, right? So there's nothing to stop you from writing the shared code and then share it between a Maui app and a Uno app. I mean, I don't think anybody ever do that. But the theory is that you can use code examples from those other platforms that have it work. Here, we are trying to do platform-specific things. So you're not going to Uno and say, how do I do Bluetooth? You're going to .NET and say, how do you do Bluetooth on iOS? And Uno is a UI layer. Remember, it's sitting on top of that, right? And that's one of the cool advantages to this, is that now all the .NET documentation for how to talk to Bluetooth, you can absolutely use on this platform. So that's really badass awesome, in my opinion. So that's what we're gonna do. So on Monday's lunch stream. So no lunch streams on the weekend. Remember, it's Monday through Friday. We're to go through. We're going to implement file system for all three platforms. We're going to go through, get our database wired up, and see if we can't get this thing to show real data from a database. Right? We want to get past the hello world and get that to get that working. Once we get data showing for the database, this changes everything. Right? That makes it really cool. We'll take a look. Probably like later on in the week, we want to look at things like testing scrolling. And take a look at like some of the hitches, especially like in Android, that I've always had in the past with these really crappy Android turd phones, these Samsung A series. I've always had problems in the past, on Xamarin especially, getting scrolling to be smooth on these things has always been a nightmare mess. Xamarin solution, the .NET solution for Android is very complicated because of the fact we run the JNI and we're running a Java object and a C# object both, and they have to keep track of each other when to be in and out of memory. And this happens for every object that you're going to create that is mapping to a UI component in Android, because there's going to be an Android platform specific version of that. And all this magic happens through the JNI, and there's a bridge that basically kind of keeps track of when to get things in and out of memory. And at least in Xamarin in the old days, this was a nightmare mess, right? And so I'm hoping that that's improved. Now, some of this won't be Uno's problem as much as it is just .NET, right? Because they're sitting on top of it. So, but it looks like I'm hearing here from chat here that so that they have some refit serializations out of the box and recommended templates. Cool. And they're using a YouTube example. Well, we're going to use the YouTube example for all of our stuff. We're going to take a look at what UI components they're using. We're going to try to reuse that because that seems to be a very concrete implementation. Like I said, I looked at it. I'm always a little bit skeptical of code generators, right? I come from I'm really old. Most people forget that. I've been doing development for about 28 years, and I started back in the 90s, the early 90s, back when we had like about 97 or 98, they had this thing called Front Page that Microsoft had, and it was supposed to generate web code, and it did a terrible job on it. And then they Adobe or either Adobe or somebody had Dreamweaver. I think it was Adobe, and that was supposed to generate web code, and it was garbage. The code was always just absolutely crap to modify. The CSS was a lot of times inline, hard-coded. You would just throw that stuff away as a developer. You almost want to throw up when you look at it. You're just like, I can't maintenance this. This auto-generate code's terrible. Now, C# has code generators and stuff that's gotten probably a lot better. My fear is that some designer draws a button on the screen, and the Figma code generator says, oh, that's just a rectangle, and that's just an event on it. Versus using the actual native button. Native button's going to give me a bunch of cool things, right? So I don't know the answer to that because I haven't. I know, right? Compile Swift Front Page, man. I made a lot of money back in the late '90s, early 2000s, writing ASP, not ASP.NET, ASP code in web. I had a side gig. I was working for a telco at the time, but I had a side gig of writing that for a bunch of customers, actually, of the web hosting solution that we were providing. The telco I worked for had an ISP. And so I would basically try to clean up and get them some pretty cool stuff running with that. And so, yeah, I know that a lot of them would use Front Page, and I'd be like, this is just a nightmare. Stop using this. It's garbage. It's terrible. In Dreamweaver, someone would call me like, hey, I got this website in Dreamweaver, and I bought this theme from some company, this style sheet and theme, and now I want you to implement it and make my website look pretty. And it's like, Oh, okay. So that's interesting. So he says the Figma plugin generates real UI widgets because the Figma file uses definition. So, for example, all these UI components are like in XAML, they're defined, right? They have a schema definition of them. And so if the Figma is actually looking at like a schema definition of the XAML and saying, okay, when the designer drags out the component, they're going to drag out a button, then by theory, it would know that the mapping to that, and then it would know when it generates the code to use that particular UI component versus them just drawing a square on the screen and drawing some text, that's what a lot of UI designers I know do in Figma or Sketch. I'm used to more Sketch than I am Figma. Sketch guy, sorry. Figma's all right, but it's like a webby kind of thing, and it just sometimes seems like it's crap compared to Sketch, which is a native Cocoa application that runs really well. You can export Sketch into Figma, and I do that a lot for like if I need to give somebody something there. Maybe we'll also take a look at that. That's pretty interesting. I'm not a designer. I know how to use Figma. I was a designer for about a year and a half, like in 2015, I guess, just because they didn't have one. I've taken some classes on it, but by no means am I a real designer. I know the concepts of color and stuff, but get a real person. They're like artsy and stuff. They know all the things that make like look good and stuff. I'm more of a developer than that. But we'll take a look at that, I guess, on Monday. So maybe we should try that. Maybe we should try having it build like just the simple starting screen in Figma. I probably could just crack that out this weekend, and then on Monday we'll export it and see if that works. Oh, cool. I think we'll try that. I think I'll do the. Nobody wanted to watch me draw on the screen with Figma, so I think because this is really a .NET stream. So what I think I'll do is I'll do the UI offline, and then on Monday we'll import it in. We'll see if we can't get it up and running and see how good the code is, and then maybe that's a pretty cool solution. I know that in the YouTube app that's what they used, and so that's a kind of interesting thing. And I said this a couple streams ago. I'm always concerned about performance, especially on scrolling with grids and views in Android specifically. In iOS, Apple sells hardware that is super fast. I mean, if you got a modern iPhone, even like an iPhone 10 and higher, you're going to have no problems with performance. Those processors in there are super fast. And for most people, it's not going to be a problem unless you're a game developer. And that's a totally different problem than what we're trying to solve here. So, but Android, very, very concerned about the performance there. So we'll take a look at all this on Monday. But I have to stop filibustering here, and I got to get back to work before I got to get a couple things done so I can head out for the weekend. So everybody, thanks for joining the stream. Pretty cool. We got some stuff running. We're going to come back Monday. We're going to go through and get some UI actually running, talking to a database, see if we can get some stuff displaying in, and then we can start taking a look at this and talking about how navigation works and all those kind of things, and try to figure out how to build a real app in it. So appreciate everybody for joining me and hanging out. We'll take a look at this more on Monday, and be kind to each other, man. It's a rough thing, and we're all in this together. So make sure that you if you have problems and stuff like that, if you have questions, go over to Discord, join either the .NET Evolution or the Discord link on my chat. 1 second here. Don't switch. Let me get over here, and I'll show you just real quick on the stream here. Dev Club is super awesome. That's where I hang out all the time. And also .NET Evolution. .NET Evolution is the place to go for .NET. They have so much crap out here. It is, I know the Microsoft developers over in .NET Evolution is a great place to hang out. And I am a lurker and a talker there all the time. So if you have questions, you're going to definitely get answers over there if you have any kind of questions. Hit one of those two places up if you want to talk to me outside of this, or I'm always available on Twitter and more than happy to talk to you over there too. So take care. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday. See ya.